the army picked me up, and I don't know that you know this, they asked you to do funny things, sometimes very disrespectful things as a part of punishment. Yeah. So I don't want to go into details of what I was asked to do, but I was asked to do some very uncomfortable things. And the team members with me they went to the army saying that, no, we cannot see, him being disrespected that way. Please allow us to do it 2 times for him, so that, his most dramatic failure as a career. In 3 months we launched, and that launch was a complete failure. Services were not up to the standard of the customer. The customers were supposed to have been billed, we could not bill them, and they have not paid us. So it was a complete chaos. But that is where I really, really learned.
Hello viewers, I welcome you all to our podcast series, Conversation with Business Shujaas. In our today's episode, we have a exceptional corporate leader as our guest. His career spans over 3 decades. He has worked in various segments like service industry, manufacturing, and telecom. He is the CFO of Safaricom PLC, and he is also a member of the advisory committee of CFO Coalition of United Nations Global Compact. He is none other than Mr. Dilip Pal. Mr. Pal, I welcome you in our podcast, and thank you for giving us time from your very busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Ananya. Thank you for the generous introduction, and also thank you for the opportunity to be in your show.
Okay, so as in our this series, we speak about the professional journey of the speakers. So I have learned from your CV that prima facie your professional journey has 2 phases. The later phase is definitely in telecom industry. You are considered to be one of the experts in telecom industry. But before that also you had an equally interesting phase where you worked in prima facie in manufacturing segment. So we are very interested to know about that journey, and how was your growth from a young professional to a corporate leader during that phase?
So I just finished 34 years in my corporate career.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And if I just split that into 2 phases, 13 years in 3 different industry, and then 21 years now in the telecom sector, as you said. So the first phase, which is 13 years, let me speak about that. So as a young professional, my first objective was to get a job. So you to get the financial freedom that you need. So I took a job in a non-banking finance industry. At that time, they were really scaling up, and they were putting up investment division, and they were hiring management trainees. So I joined them as part of a group of 5 people that joined. And this is the list or the shortest that I have ever stayed in one company. I have witnessed the great stock market collapse in India, which is 1991, the Harshad Mehta scam, and got exposed to stock markets which I have never known before, and along with that, also figured out along the way that this is not where I want to be for the long term. And I, in the true spirit of stock market jargons, I cut my losses and I decided to move on. And that was like a very interesting time I spent. But then this one is, I decided to move to, I got a job in Tata Group, and that's where I spend a lot of time. And I consider this as my foundational years as a professional. So I was an individual contributor. Now I moved to Tata Group in the manufacturing facility in Jamshedpur, and now I have a team. Much older than me. They're experienced people. The way things work in Jamshedpur is that you join the Tata Group to retire. So I'm now leading a team, and foundational in the sense that very process driven, very structured, very employee friendly. You kind of taken care of at a very young age. You got exposed to talking to your senior leaders, and you get the limelight. So in less than 6 years, I managed to do most of the finance function, including working in the corporate office in Calcutta. So people would imagine, why would you leave a Tata Group? But I think I would say, so interesting, the first job. Second one was foundational. And then really the one which came in my way was the third job, which is joining CocaCola and leading now a function, which is the finance function, and which was, to my mind, was the transformational phase of my career. In just over 5 years, I have spent with that company 3 different roles, very distinct roles. Started with a startup. I mean, I don't know, maybe my exposure to startup started from there, in a sense that the inexperienced team, but need to be develop them into a very high standard of Coca-Cola's reporting and accounting. Most difficult time in my career, if I would say, of the first 1 year, where I need to really get the team up to speed in terms of Coca-Cola standards. But also along the way, I learned a lot. You have to be with the team, be in the field, be with them, to ensure that they're not alone in delivering what is required to be done. There are times we haven't gone home for 3 nights, so slept on the floor, eaten whatever was available. That gave me a very strong transformational view about when the people could be at different stages of their learning, but if you really get involved, if you really with them, you can scale up. And then I did 2 more roles. In one was in Ahmedabad, and then I moved to Delhi, and truly transformational. And that's when my first 13 years of 3 industries, from finance, non-banking finance, to manufacturing, pure manufacturing, which was Tata Tin Plate, and then Coca-Cola, which was very market-driven FMCG, and from a B2B to a B2C segment.
So what I can get from it is that actually when you joined Coca-Cola, you became truly a corporate leader, because you became a CFO of different units. You worked there in different units of their bottling plants and worked as a finance head, CFO. So that in itself was a transformational role, I would personally feel. And as you were saying that in Jamshedpur, I think from the bottlers, Coke took over that plant in Jamshedpur, and then they hired you as a CFO of that unit, and then partly you have to take some of the personals from the earlier company, and some you recruit. All of them came from there, and obviously they were not really. They were in a kind of a family-run business. The bottlers were. So they were habituated to that kind of informal setting, and then all of a sudden, in a fully professional setting where you are reporting to Atlanta, that kind of things happen, and you had to tune them to that. And as you were saying, that you being a CFO had to sleep for 3-4 nights consecutively at a plant and all this. So this gave you how this leadership came to you, like how this tremendous acceptability came from your people, as I'm saying, because I assume that they really accepted you. Otherwise, they came from a very different background, and from there, when they are willing to work with you to tune with the new setup, how did you manage that as a leader?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you asked me this question, because I genuinely believe that if you take interest in people, be authentic, and you win their trust, they rise up, they step up, and they will. Sometimes they will go all the way, work that extra miles, to meet your or to exceed your expectations. That I have always seen. You you have to take genuine interest. You have to be authentic about it. It's not, you cannot just show up there and not being genuine about it. So if you really care about your people, um, I don't know how it came to me, but I I I felt like I have to be with them. Maybe I'm not doing as much as they're doing, but I'm able to be with them, be part of that challenge. So I think that gives a lot more acceptability and the trust that a leader is with the people who are delivering. I think the only formula, I don't know it's a formula or this is thing which I think works is you take genuine interest in people, they rise up, they step up, and you got to win their trust. And if you win their trust, they will deliver anything for you.
I believe if you are a good human being and you are sincere, it comes off. That's what I get out of this story of yours. And as you mentioned to me earlier, that there was some labor unrest also, but you raised above everything and handled it. And I mean, they even came for a family function of yours, the leaders who were actually doing the unrest. So, can you please give us a
It is, yeah. It's a long time, and it's good that you reminded me.
You were so young at that.
Yeah, you reminded me of that, and yes, there was unrest in the factory. Typical, it's a manufacturing facility. You have conversation around wages increase in facilities and all of that. And I remember, we used to leave very early in the morning to hit the factory so that before anybody comes, we are inside, and I'm inside. And the demonstration and also threat, like my car used to be punctured. So those were the thing. And then when we have a family gathering, as you rightly said, and they're telling me, saying, we are, this is very different, this is who you are as a person. And then you have an identity as you as a professional leading function, right? So I think they were able to differentiate that I have a job to do for what I do, but I also have a human face, who I am. And I think I have been immensely blessed with that, to a point. One of them kept in touch with me for many years, and every time I used to have a call with him, he always used to remind me, saying that, very, very sorry, boss, that what has happened, but that we genuinely care for you. I think that was also a very interesting episode which happened in Jamshedpur.
Okay. And then your next assignment was in Ahmedabad. Your next posting was in Ahmedabad, right? So when you were in Ahmedabad, that time also it was you had to go through a difficult phase there because the infamous riot happened during that time. And that time also your factory plant was in the outskirt of Ahmedabad. You had to travel quite a lot, and curfews were going on, and you told me that story. So if you can narrate that story and how that team building held up, like how you managed that team building, that people really thought, okay, curfew and everything, any challenge, it is better, it is okay, but we have to do our reporting on time, we have to work and keep our standards high. Under your leadership, it happened. So if you can just tell us, because our viewers mostly are young professionals and new entrepreneurs, so we really want to be inspired. So,
Yeah, so our factory was 35 kilometers away from Ahmedabad, where we used to stay. And post-riot, one of the biggest challenges used to be lack of information, because the cities, most part of the cities are under curfew. So you have to know in the morning which route you take to go to office, because you have to be in office. There are work to be done. So you find that out by the time the evening. You don't know what have changed during the day. So the route which you have taken is not necessarily the route that you can take back. I think similarly, there is no, I think CocaCola is a very, it's a high pressure job, very strong sense of delivery, but also you do as a team. I think what came out in that episode is that everybody was committed that, no, we'll go to office, we'll go to factory, we'll demonstrate, because ultimately the people, the workers who are working in the manufacturing facility, they have no choice. I can do some of my work staying at home, but the workers have to be in the factory. So it also shows a solidarity about saying that we are all in this together. But interesting episode, one of the evening, I think it was quite late or midnight. We were coming back from the factory after reporting, and the curfew, the route have changed, and we were caught by army along the way, the route, and we were still far away from our home. And me and my rest of my team members were there, and the army picked me up, and I don't know that you know this, they asked you to do funny things, sometimes very disrespectful things as a part of punishment. Yeah. So I don't want to go into details of what I was asked to do, but I was asked to do some very uncomfortable things. And the team members with me saying, they went to the army saying that, no, we cannot see, him being disrespected that way. Please allow us to do it 2 times for him so that, he's, he's spared for this. I don't know. It's not that I wanted to be spared, but it also speaks about saying that, no. You care for your leader. You don't want to see your leader to be disrespected in a way which you have never seen before. It's a very it's a small thing, but I think also speaks about the team bonding. So you are always together. You don't want your leaders to be disrespected in front of others. I think that was.
It's more about they genuinely cared about you beyond their call of duty. I can from this story, that is what I am getting. That they really cared for you. And that brings out the human aspect of you as a corporate leader, I believe. So
I don't know, because I cannot talk about that myself.
No, it is coming across. I can feel that. So yes, and then after that, your third posting was in Noida, I suppose. Yeah, you were in charge of 2 bottling plants. Okay. So after that, then comes another turnaround in your career, I believe, that you shifted from manufacturing to telecommunication, which is also a service sector. So was it a natural choice for you, or was it challenging? The decision was challenging. So if you can tell about how it happened.
No, I can't say that it was a natural choice for me. I wasn't looking for a job. I was quite happy with what I was doing. I was very blessed and lucky to have done my 3rd role in my 5th year, which is quite amazing. So you always learn, you get the new challenge to lead a bigger business and also to lead a bigger team, and that's what I was enjoying most. And around the time Telecom in very early days, so and there was a massive expansion of telecom business happening across the country, and then the beverage company Coke and Pepsi became the hunting ground for them to have the professional for their leadership role, and that's how I became also part of that. I would say the scouting from different companies, and around the time there are 3 different telcos were interviewing me or taking interest in me, whether I would be interested in joining in sector, because I didn't know about that sector. I know it's a sunrise factor as a sunrise sector as you call them, but I wasn't very sure about that and how it will work. So when I decided to move, the choice was for me, and the reason I chose to join that company was that it was a startup. So it's also in the context of a startup. So I think I don't know. I don't remember. I was very early. Few employees that you have joined, and you have to supposed to be launching that business telecommunication service. It was in Punjab. So I joined a company called Hutchison, who are then this is one of the newest license, and they were expanding.
So it was Punjab Circle.
It was the Punjab.
So you were stationed in?
I was in Chandigarh. So from Delhi, I moved to Noida. I moved to Chandigarh, and I was the CFO for that business. And so absolutely building everything from scratch. So absolutely startup environment. So you have to dot your hands. And also remember, I came from a very different background. I have no idea about how telecom, even from a technology side, it works. So forget about understanding the marketing and other aspect of it. So it was an eye opener for me, and it was the most a defining experience that I ever had in Chandigarh for around 3 years that I spent building it from scratch, then having the most, I would say, most dramatic failure as a career. In 3 months we launched, and that launch was a complete failure. Services were not up to the standard of the customer. The customers were supposed to have been billed, we could not bill them, and they have not paid us. So it was a complete chaos. But that is where I really, really learned the telecom as a business. Just not about finance. I think finance, by and large, remains same across the industry wherever you work. You know what you have to do. You learn that, and you deal with the people. But this was understanding the industry, understanding the business in a way, including the technology part of it. There was no choice for us. I mean, on a lighter note, I was still within my 3 months. So generally, your bosses from the previous company still keep in touch with you. So generally, how you are doing. There was a time when I was thinking, they were saying, would you like to come back? So there was that time saying that, oh, I can actually go back to my previous company and I can stay here. But we took that to our chin. Big failure, but it was also a big turnaround. I learned a lot. Everything that I learned of telecom was from that stint.
So the challenges and failures also teach us a lot. Yeah, especially in a startup environment, it is very important that we take it into our stride, the challenges and failures. Yeah, what you are saying is correct. And also, you as since I had the opportunity to see you bit closely, so as a finance head, as a finance leader, I have seen that how much interest you take also in operation and how much knowledge you have deep down even about technology and other things. So it's also big learning, as I am also from finance background. So it is a big learning from for all young professionals because whatever department you are in, whatever area of expertise you are in, but you must take interest in the operation, because ultimately we all are contributing to the operation of the company.
That's so true. That's so true. And if I go back historically, I said it's foundational in Tata's, but foundational in the areas of finance. So you kind of know really finance very well, right? But it was transformational in Coke because Coke allowed you now going beyond your just you can't be a successful leader in Coke if you just focus on your area of expertise or function, which is finance. So from an operational finance manager, you become a business manager. I think I would say the learning or the really step up happened in Coke, where you understand trade, you understand product, you understand go with the salesman to do sales, you understand brand, you understand marketing. I think that I carried to telecom, and the big failure also became a very big opportunity that you don't hold back yourself. And look, I'm not boasting, but I think I have a fairly good understanding about every aspects of telecom, and just because I took genuine interest after that failure, and maybe it's something that also I'm very fond of knowing things beyond just my own area, and that worked very well for me, because as we say, I joined that sector, telecom sector, as they say, rest is history. Because I have fallen in love with that industry so much that I have continued. I'm still continuing in the same industry for 21 years.
And I think people also acknowledge your contribution in this sector. That's why you are one of the very sought after professional in this sector. So yeah, so now that you joined in Hutch, and then eventually it became Vodafone, and you worked in different circles in India under Vodafone, and then you became vice president finance, and you took care of several circles, because India is a big country and they have several circles. You took care of that. You were constantly traveling and taking care of it. So if you can just touch upon that phase of your telecom journey.
So there is something about startup, and I'm telling you this because this is about startup Shuja. So there is something about startup. I didn't realize, I don't think I was I was conscious about it, but if I go back, there is something about doing something new always excited me. Okay, I have not developed a business as an owner, but I have been part of developing it for the company. I think that mindset worked very well. Remember, Jamshedpur in Coca-Cola was a very much startup. Yeah, and then I joined Telecom in Punjab was a startup. Yeah, and along the way I have done many roles. But one of the things that I want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about everything, but one thing I want to talk about it. So as Hutchison became Vodafone, we all became part of Vodafone, and Vodafone was expanding its footprint in India in 6 more new geography. Yeah, I think 6, not 7, 7 new geographies. And I was fortunate to be part of that of those 7, 5 of those new launches, from of telecom launches. It's like a building something again from new. So I think there was something a deliberate, maybe company also found that I have interest in this area. So this is one thing I really wanted to highlight, that um, you I have a liking for that. I really enjoy, and it's not a surprise that we, even in Safaricom today when we launched Ethiopia, I took genuine interest in Ethiopia being part of that, because it's again a startup. So going back to Vodafone, in India, I think that was it was very, very, very encouraging to see how again, how new business come in, they are not performing, they're struggling, and they turn around and they become bigger part of it, and you being part of their journey. And that was also quite interesting. Other than that, I think in other part of it I also want to talk about is the language, culture, and nuances in India is very, very different from those of you who don't understand this. I think you have to almost consider that you move from one place to, I have moved around, even in Vodafone I have done 5 different roles and moved around, I think 4 different cities. Every place is different, people are different, culture is different, the motivation, how they work, what they motivate them are different. So you have to also take care of the nuances of how you work with the people. So people are same, but then you still need to adapt to that new environment to be able to do that. I think I truly enjoyed uh, that stint, and I would contribute a lot of my progress that I have made in my career, a lot to do with that, what I have done. Extremely demanding in terms of travel, in terms of, if I remember correctly, the number of people who were reporting to me at that time was close to 1,500 people across the country. So it's a big. I was responsible for managing really the P&L ownership of the business of about 22 business for the entire country, and very complex but very, very satisfying. Close to 11 years between Hutchison and Vodafone in India.
Wow, that's really a very inspiring story for us, because the young professionals who are watching this, they will take motivation from it. I'm sure about it. I'm getting motivated from what you are saying. And yes, I also personally feel that there is no substitute to hard work. So from there, I want to take it to further to your journey, that then a transition again happened in your professional journey. You took up CFO role and you became CFO. You moved out of India and became CFO in different countries and also in different, different companies, different country, and then different continent also. So if you can talk about that transition of yours.
Yeah. So remember I told you I wasn't looking for a job change in Coca-Cola, but this time around, um, I would say it was a bit of a deliberate choice for me to explore working outside India. So I can't say that it just came along the way, but it just felt like I was looking for opportunity to work outside India. I want to challenge myself in the areas that I haven't um, worked before, and which is one of the area that I have not worked before. Moving out of India was investor relations. Yeah. So yes, that was to answer your previous question. This time it was deliberate, and when I got the opportunity to join a Telenor Group, and my first job was the CFO for a listed company in Bangladesh called Grameenphone. They're the largest company, not only the largest telecom in Bangladesh, yeah, and based out of Dhaka.
Something like Safaricom in Kenya.
Yeah, in a way that is the largest company, largest telecom, and also in many ways how they transform lives. In that, I think I can relate to that what we do in Safaricom and what we are doing in Grameenphone. Very very enriching experience, because suddenly you get exposed to, as a CFO of a company, managing multiple stakeholders, managing a large base of investors, and of course also working in a different country, in a different environment, although we speak the same language. But I think there are nuances in that, and also there are differences in that. But I think that experience was enriching. If I have, within my CFO role, what I have contributed later on, which I still continue to do, I think a very good foundation and grounding happened in Bangladesh, especially in the areas of managing multiple investors and the stakeholders that I got exposed to. I think it was quite enriching. And so I moved again within Telenor Group. New opportunity came in. The company said, now you go take the next challenge, which is moving to Thailand. And that's where I again did a role, very, very challenging, that in an environment where we were the leader, suddenly we are not leader here. And we're second, and then we are losing market share, consecutive market share. Quite a few challenges in the way we didn't have enough investments that you needed to do. We didn't have enough spectrum. And so the task was very different in Thailand. And I think the complexity of transition in another country, and Thailand is they're very vernacular. The language became a big. You have to adapt to that. Without knowing language, also then how do you still lead it? A big team, and it was a big business in the size of in terms of the size of what you are managing. So again, a new challenge, a very different environment. You are not a leader anymore. You are a challenger. You have to turn around this company in a very challenging environment, dealing with the regulator, and also managing the team. I think that adaptability was extremely important for me. I mean, there was a time when I had to work with interpreter when I'm in a meeting, because we are not able to communicate in the same way, because I am speaking in English and the people who are listening, they can't speak in English, and they don't know how to even communicate in English. I think it was a very interesting phase, but what was consistent is that ultimately finance function is finance function. You have that, but I think it's the people. Again, you have to make sure that you win the trust of the people, you empower them, and you take genuine interest in them. Once you win the trust, and especially in Thailand, it is they will do anything for you to make sure that we as a function or as a company are successful. And that was also very transformative, moving from Bangladesh to Thailand and working in a very different environment, different culture, different language, and different set of people. And then I never worked in this continent, Africa. And when this opportunity came in, I knew about this company very well. So it was, I mean, as a company, I can confidently tell you that it was never a doubt about that, whether you do like to join this company and be part of that. It was absolutely okay. And of course, there were the other challenges came because it was peak of COVID. So it was 2020, peak of COVID, and you are dealing with, again, different continent. As we in our family used to say, every 3 years or every 2.5 years, we are waiting for another change. It was just exactly around the same time. So around the 2.5 years, this opportunity came in. In 3 years, I moved out to a different continent, to a different company, a different culture, and a very very challenging environment of dealing with people, leading a team where I can't meet them on a daily basis because of COVID restrictions. So very interesting transition, and of course again adapting to a new culture, new country. Although I would say language is not a big problem because pretty much everybody speaks English here. but you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the culture of that country and be with the team and lead the team in a way that they trust you and they deliver for you.
Yeah, and so as you were saying that when you move to Kenya, so first probably almost a year you people were working from home, more or less. So you got to meet your team physically probably quite a few months later, the entire team or something. So how you that's not an easy job really, that you have come to a new place and then physical, not meeting physically, whatever we say virtual is not really same as physical. So how did you cope with that?
I think it was very, very challenging for everybody who has moved during COVID time. I mean, we used to have this call this it's a COVID recruit. It's a COVID recruit, meaning you have faced those challenges. But I think along the way, as a leader, you adapt, and then employee engagement was the biggest issue if you're not able to meet physically. But I think you adapt. You find a way, even virtually. How can you engage? I think you learn that, and then try and make use of that. So we tried to make the best out of it, and it was interesting when we met for the first time. People were asking because they are all masked, and I still remember that day. They asked me, then you see their faces. This is the test for you. Then you pass only when you're able to tell who is who. I think my team was about 9 of them. So it was a very funny test for me to say, because they're all masked now. And when I used to see them in Zoom, they didn't have mask. So I also learned a very interesting thing of look at the forehead, look at the eyes, and then and recognize them. So, but it was tough. But I think we adapted.
As a CFO of a listed company, one of the key roles for you is facing the investors. And we are a platform, Startup Shujaas is a platform where we facilitate our startup entrepreneurs. And one of the key factor is to make them ready for the investors and make them meet the investors. So if you can give us a few key points, how to face investors.
No, so thank you for that question. And as I told you, that was one area I have never done before till I joined a listed company. So this is my third listed company. So all my experience is in listed company, but I'll talk about that. So I wanted you to take this away or the viewers to take this away, is that there is something you haven't done before, but you can actually learn. And that's what I did when I joined Grameenphone. I took genuine interest in that area. Now, the way I look at the investors is you have listed companies and you have unlisted companies. Yeah, the investors of listed companies have a different approach to the investment they have made to the unlisted companies. So I think there are nuances on that as well. So let me first talk about my experience with the listed company, that the third listed company that I'm working with. So typically there are two profiles of investors that I see. One, those are short-term investors, and those are long-term investors. So it's not about that the investors need to know the company, but I think as a company, you need to know your investors. Who are those investors? What is their profile? What are they exactly looking at? Are they looking at short-term investment? Are they looking at long-term investment? Because end of the day, you have to fulfill the requirements of the investor in a way that takes care of their interest. All the companies, they do have their short-term goals and they have their long-term goals. So when you hear them asking you questions, from that questions you know, are they looking at you to tell you the story? What are you doing in the next quarter? What are you doing in the next 6 months? What are you doing in the next 1 year? So you have that story, but then you must focus on that. There is a sense of urgency because they want to exit after 1 year. So you must ensure that you craft your story for that part of those investors. Yeah. And they don't care about what you're doing for the long term. But the moment you shift gear to the people, then you know that they are the long-term investors, that becomes a very different story. They want to see the long-term strategy of the company. What are you going in the new areas? And how are you executing your strategy? So they are not looking at the last quarter, the next 6 months or next 1 year. I think that part, to my mind, is very critical. So you craft your story to the type of investors that you are dealing with or the potential investors that you want to get in. Second part I have also seen is that they're extremely, extremely focused on the management. who are the people who are really running that company? Who are the people? Do they understand their craft? Are they good leader? Are they able to lead team? Are they able to execute the plan they have made? I think they do also pretty much an assessment of the management. I have some incredible experience of meeting one on having one-on-one meeting with the investors where they have not asked me any questions on performance of the company, but they have all asked me about the profile of each and everybody in the management team. I think that part also you have to take into account. The other part, to my mind, is you have to be authentic and genuine in the way you relaying your plan or are you telling your story of what you have done. So this is a skill I would strongly recommend that it's not about, you are not faking anything, you are not telling any lies, but crafting your story is a skill. Sometimes we do things and we're doing executing, but you're not able to tell our story. I think maybe for a company who is not yet listed or they're looking for investors, for them, to my mind, the biggest part of it is the what called as a pitch deck. When you're pitching to investors, how genuine you are, or are you just feeding in numbers? People will learn very quickly because investors are smart. Yeah, so they will know very quickly. I think storytelling, crafting your story, and being genuine, authentic in a way you communicate what you have done and what's your plan also becomes a very, very important part of your, crafting the story. I think the other part to my mind is you, as much as you do everything else, whatever as a CFO, I have to consider this as a very integral part of my responsibility that I need to take care of my investors. I engage with them. I will never say no if there is a request for them to come to me and say, okay, explain me why is it this way. I think if you take those things into account, be genuine, be authentic, craft your story well, make sure that your management is able to deliver what you're promising. I think you have delivered what you promise. And understand your investor profile, long-term, short-term, and craft your story accordingly in a way that fulfills their requirements.
Oh, that's really a great understanding that we got from you. And what I always keep telling our mentees that it resonates with what you are saying, that as you were saying, craft your story, but back it with facts. Then only it will be genuine and authentic and it can really touch the investor. Yes. Thank you for giving such good insight on the investors, facing the investors. And we are now reaching to the closing of the session. So I would request you to say a few words to our viewers who are mostly new entrepreneurs and young professionals.
Okay, so I'll just say a few things, starting with your choices define your destiny. And those choices have always trade-offs. So be aware of those trade-offs and ready for the consequences. Yeah. So trade-offs go either way. So make those wise choices and be ready for the consequences. The second is, it's not about your degrees or your experience that matters. It does matter, but I think it's more important that your ability to think critically and solve problems. People hire you or people give you a business or to do something is your ability to really solve problems. So always think about that. You are solving problem. And the last, and to my mind, is the most important. It doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't matter where you start. It's your hard work. It's your discipline. It's your commitment. Is what actually makes you great. And it doesn't absolutely matter from where you started. As I told you, I probably have the shortest stint and in some way a bit of regrettable stint that first 2 years that I had. But I'm very, very grateful and very happy for what I could do. And that will be my advice to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pal. And we have learned a lot from this session. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. And thank you once again for the opportunity to talk to your viewers.